harvest time in Israel, and a palpable sense of anxiety was in the air. At any moment, the wary farmers might lift their eyes to see a tidal wave of Midianite soldiers pouring down from the hills like a flash flood from a broken dam. The Bible describes the Midianites as a nation of grasshoppers. Whenever the harvest was ripe, they would descend upon Israel's fields and crops in vast numbers, like a swarm of locusts, leaving nothing in their wake but destruction and desolation. The Israelites went on the defensive, hunkering down in caves, hiding in the mountains, and building protective strongholds. The nervous harvesters quickly reaped what they could and hid it away in anticipation of an imminent invasion. God had a plan to deliver Israel from the hand of Midian, and he had chosen just the man for the job. But God's choice seemed highly unlikely. Gideon was not a superhero by any stretch of the imagination. He was a victim of his society's ills, a man who had been influenced by the climate of cowardice that had crippled and enslaved the Israelites. He was such a prisoner of fear that he would hide in a winepress to thresh his small harvest of wheat. A winepress is no place to thresh wheat, but Gideon had chosen this inappropriate place because he was afraid of the Midianites. He was afraid of losing his harvest and his life, so he hid both underground. It was in this dungeon of fear that the Lord found Gideon, frustrated, trembling, and perspiring. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, "The Lord is with you, you mighty man of fearless courage." No one would have anticipated the Lord's declaration that day. Gideon, the Lord says, "You are a mighty man of fearless courage." Where others saw a coward, God saw a deliverer. God created the heavens and the earth. Now, I don't know what you see when you look at yourself in the mirror. Maybe you see someone who's too young or too old. Maybe you see someone who's undereducated or inexperienced. Maybe you see someone who belongs to the wrong social class, race, or gender. You see all your failures and shortcomings, and you think to yourself, God could never use me. But what about God, your creator? What does he see when he looks at you? Let me explain it this way. Early in the 1500s, a 17-foot-long block of granite sat in a junkyard where it had been abandoned for several decades. Other artists had examined the rock and all determined that it was unfit for use. It was cracked, it was damaged, it was broken, and no one ever thought that anything beautiful could be made from this rejected rock. And then one day, along came a 25-year-old artist and sculptor. And when he saw that rock, he didn't see blemishes and imperfections. He said he could see an angel in the rock, and he wanted to set it free. To him, even the broken places and the cracked places fit in perfectly with the vision that he had for that stone. He took that colossal piece of cold granite back to his workshop, and he began to labor over it tirelessly with hammer and chisel. He worked night and day with obsessive dedication. The people in the village where he lived thought that he had lost his mind, because from time to time he would scream at the rock saying, "Come out! Come out!" After nearly 3 years, that young artist by the name of Michelangelo finally revealed his enduring masterpiece, a sculpture that is so iconic, it is probably the best known sculpture in existence, known the world over as the statue of David. Michelangelo saw something in that block of granite long before anyone else did. Where they saw imperfections and blemishes, he saw a masterpiece, and he worked diligently to set it free. So what does God see when he looks at you? You know what I think? I'm convinced that no matter where you go or what you do, no matter how many faults or failures have blemished your life, whenever God looks at you, He still sees inside of you the potential that He created in you when He was fashioning you and forming you in your mother's womb. My friend, God also has a dream for your life, and He's calling to that potential inside of you, like Michelangelo called a masterpiece out of an ordinary looking stone. My friend, God is calling to you today. Come out in Jesus' name.